son of a bitch!
John Wayne's 10 Greatest Movies Ranked and Why. John Wayne, Duke, the Duke. For more than 4 decades, he stood tall as the undisputed face of American westerns and one of the most dominant box office stars in Hollywood history. Born Marion Morrison, Wayne rose from humble beginnings and college football player to become a larger-than-life symbol of rugged individualism, courage, and frontier justice. He appeared in nearly 170 films between 1926 and 1976, starring in everything from low-budget B-westerns to big-budget epics. Yet only a select handful of movies truly defined his legend, elevated the western genre from Saturday matinee fare to serious American mythology, or left an indelible mark on cinema. These are the pivotal films that didn't just entertain audiences, they shaped his iconic persona, proved his dramatic range, earned him major awards, and influenced generations of filmmakers. Today, we're counting down John Wayne's 10 most consequential movies. We're not simply picking the highest grossing or most popular titles. Instead, we're focusing on the ones that launched his stardom, redefined his image, pushed artistic boundaries, or cemented his place in Hollywood immortality. These are the films that built the enduring myth of John Wayne. So saddle up, Pilgrim. Let's ride. Number 10, The Alamo, 1960. Coming in at number 10 is John Wayne's greatest passion project. Not only did he star as the legendary frontiersman Davy Crockett, Wayne also produced and directed this massive 3-hour epic. Obsessed with bringing the heroic story of Texas independence to the screen, he spent years developing the project and personally oversaw every detail at a staggering $12 million budget. It was one of the most expensive westerns ever made at the time. Wayne poured his heart, reputation, and deeply held conservative values into the film, viewing it as a tribute to American courage, sacrifice, and the spirit of freedom. Filmed on a sprawling set in Brackettville, Texas, The Alamo featured impressive battle sequences and a large ensemble cast. While it wasn't a huge financial success upon release, and nearly bankrupted Wayne's production company, the film earned a Best Picture Oscar nomination and strong praise for its ambition and scope. More than half a century later, The Alamo remains a towering, if flawed, example of old-school epic filmmaking. It stands as the clearest expression of John Wayne's personal beliefs and his desire to create a lasting cinematic monument to American heroism and history.
That long-winded jackanapes, but he does know the short way to start a war.
Number 9, Sands of Iwo Jima. Number 9 takes us from the dusty trails of the Old West straight to the battlefield with Sands of Iwo Jima. Released in 1949 and directed by Alan Dwan, this gritty, hard-hitting World War II film gave John Wayne his very first Academy Award nomination for Best Picture. Wayne delivers a powerhouse performance as the battle-hardened Marine Sergeant John M. Stryker, a tough, demanding, no-nonsense leader who pushes his young recruits to the limit. Through his portrayal, Wayne cemented his image as Hollywood's ultimate American fighting man. Fearless, patriotic, and larger than life. The movie's authenticity was remarkable for its time. Real Marines trained the cast at Camp Pendleton, and approximately 2,000 Marines appeared as extras. Director Dwan skillfully blended dramatic reenactments with actual combat footage from the Pacific Campaign. Most memorably, 3 of the surviving flag raisers from Mount Suribachi, Ira Hayes, Rena Gagnon, and John Bradley, appeared as themselves in the iconic flag raising sequence that closes the film, a massive commercial success that earned nearly $4 million in rentals. Sands of Iwo Jima became a powerful, post-war, patriotic touchstone. It kept Wayne at the very top of the box office and helped solidify his status as a symbol of American strength and military heroism for decades to come.
Thanks, Marine.
There she goes.
Number 8. The Quiet Man, 1952. At number 8, we leave the trails of the American western frontier for the lush green fields of Ireland, with The Quiet Man, directed by John Ford and co-starring the fiery and unforgettable Maureen O'Hara. This romantic comedy drama gave audiences a completely different side of John Wayne. As Sean Thornton, a retired boxer returning to his Irish homeland, Wayne is charming, witty, romantic, and even vulnerable. A far cry from the stoic gunfighters he was famous for. His sizzling chemistry with O'Hara crackles throughout the film, turning their on-screen relationship into one of cinema's most beloved romances. The Quiet Man was a massive commercial hit, becoming one of the top-grossing films of the year. It earned John Ford his 4th Academy Award for Best Director, and showcased Wayne's surprising range far beyond six-shooters and cowboy hats. One of the film's most memorable highlights remains the legendary extended fistfight between Wayne and Victor McLaglen, a raucous, multi-minute brawl through the village that is still considered one of the most entertaining and well-choreographed fights in movie history. By stepping away from westerns and succeeding so brilliantly, The Quiet Man proved John Wayne was a versatile leading man capable of carrying any genre. Number 7. The Shootist, 1976. 7 is John Wayne's farewell to the screen, in what would tragically become his final film. Wayne delivers a deeply personal and courageous performance as J.B. Books, a legendary gunfighter in 1901 who is diagnosed with terminal cancer. The role mirrored Wayne's own real-life battle with the disease. He had already lost a lung to cancer years earlier and would pass away just 3 months after the film's release. Directed by Don Siegel, The Shootist serves as both a poignant eulogy for the Western genre and a graceful goodbye to Wayne himself. The film is filled with quiet dignity, introspection, and subtle melancholy. As Books confronts his mortality and tries to find a meaningful way to end his violent life. The stellar supporting cast, including Lauren Bacall as the widowed boarding house owner, Jimmy Stewart as the compassionate doctor, and a young Ron Howard as the idealistic young man drawn to Books' legend. Visually restrained, yet emotionally powerful, The Shootist is elegant and profoundly moving. It stands as one of the most perfect final chapters any screen legend has ever received. A film that honors Wayne's mythic status while humanizing the man behind the legend.
As he recreates the final days
There's more to being a man than the hand of the gun.
of the man they called the Shootist.
Number 6. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, 1962. 6 is John Ford's thoughtful masterpiece. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is one of the most intelligent westerns ever made. John Wayne stars opposite James Stewart in a profound meditation on myth versus truth. Wayne plays Tom Doniphan, a tough, old-school rancher who lives by the gun. Stewart is Ransom Stoddard, an idealistic lawyer bringing books, education, and the rule of law to the frontier. The film opens with a now-aged senator returning for a funeral, and through flashbacks we witness the violent birth of the West. The story explores how legends are born and why societies often prefer comforting myths to harsh reality. It delivers cinema's most famous line about myth-making. This is the West, sir. When the legend becomes fact, print the legend. Wayne's performance as the proud, increasingly outdated Tom Doniphan is layered, powerful, and heartbreaking. One of his most nuanced roles. Shot in stark black and white, the film feels like an elegy for both the Old West and the Western genre itself. Critics and directors, from Sergio Leone to modern filmmakers, have hailed it as one of Ford's deepest works. It influenced countless movies, with its exploration of law versus violence, progress versus tradition, and the stories nations tell about themselves. A quiet, reflective classic that rewards every viewing. Number 5, Rio Bravo, 1959. 5 is the ultimate hangout western. Howard Hawks' Rio Bravo. In this classic, John Wayne plays Sheriff John T. Chance, a no-nonsense lawman who finds himself vastly outnumbered. He must hold the town jail against a powerful rancher's hired guns. With nothing but a ragtag crew, a drunk deputy named Dude, Dean Martin, a crippled old man called Stumpy, Walter Brennan, and a young, untested gunslinger, Ricky Nelson. What makes Rio Bravo special is its attitude. Unlike High Noon, which is full of existential angst and lone hero drama, this film celebrates professionalism, loyalty, and quiet competence. The heroes don't agonize over doing the right thing. They simply do their job, support each other, and get it done with style. The movie is cool, funny, and endlessly rewatchable. Dean Martin's laid-back performance, the clever banter, and the memorable musical numbers give it a warm, lived-in feeling that few westerns ever achieved. Wayne is at his commanding best, tough but human. Its success was so strong that it inspired 2 unofficial remakes starring Wayne himself, El Dorado in 1966 and Rio Lobo in 1970. Together they form a loose, immensely entertaining trilogy of camaraderie and western cool. Rio Bravo remains one of the most beloved and influential films in Wayne's entire catalogue. Number 4, True Grit, 1969. This is the film that finally won John Wayne his only Academy Award for Best Actor after nearly 40 years in Hollywood, playing the one-eyed, hard-drinking, tough-as-nails U.S. Marshal Reuben J. Rooster Cogburn. Wayne delivered a career-capping performance that was larger than life, hilarious, and deeply charismatic. With his eye patch, gravelly voice, and no-nonsense attitude, he completely owned the role. Directed by Henry Hathaway and based on Charles Portis's best-selling novel. True Grit follows teenage Mattie Ross, Kim Darby, as she hires the aging Rooster to hunt down her father's killer, Tom Chaney. The film blends sharp humor, exciting action, and classic Western adventure, featuring memorable support from Glenn Campbell and the chilling Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall as Lucky Ned Pepper. The role was practically written for Wayne. The audiences embraced it wholeheartedly. True Grit became a massive commercial hit, one of the biggest box office successes of 1969 and 1970. It reminded the world that, even in his 60s, Duke was still the undisputed king of the Western. The Oscar win was a long overdue recognition for his enduring contribution to American cinema. A sequel, Rooster Cogburn, followed in 1975. This performance sealed John Wayne's legacy status for new generations. Number 3, Red River, 1948. Number 3 is Howard Hawks' towering epic. This masterpiece is often ranked among the greatest westerns ever made. It tells the story of the first great cattle drive along the Chisholm Trail, a grueling, dangerous journey from Texas to Kansas after the Civil War. John Wayne delivered one of his most powerful performances as Thomas Dunson, a ruthless, iron-willed rancher who builds an empire from nothing, only to become a tyrannical figure as hardship mounts. Dunson is darker and more complex than Wayne's usual heroic roles. A stubborn, near monstrous father figure driven by pride and survival. The film crackles with tension as his adopted son, Matthew Garth, played by the magnetic young Montgomery Clift in his first major role, challenges Dunson's brutal leadership. The clash between Wayne's old-school, larger-than-life masculinity and Clift's sensitive, modern acting style creates electric drama and symbolizes a changing America, featuring one of the most spectacular cattle stampedes ever filmed, stunning Monument Valley scenery, and rock-solid supporting work from Walter Brennan. Red River proves Wayne could carry heavy dramatic weight. It solidified his status as a true A-list star and opened the door for even richer roles with John Ford, a genuine Western classic.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop making a holy... Stop it, I said!
Number 2. The Searchers, 1956. John Ford's The Searchers. Many critics and filmmakers consider this not only John Wayne's greatest performance, but one of the finest American films ever made. Wayne delivers a towering, unsettling portrayal of Ethan Edwards, a bitter, battle-hardened Confederate veteran returning home after the Civil War, when his family is massacred and his young niece is kidnapped by Comanches. Ethan embarks on a relentless 7-year quest across the brutal frontier to find her. But this is no simple rescue story. Ethan is a deeply flawed, racist, and obsessive anti-hero, whose hatred runs so deep that audiences are left wondering whether he wants to save his niece or kill her. Ford's direction is masterful, blending stunning Monument Valley vistas with intimate, emotionally charged scenes. The film is visually breathtaking, yet morally dark and complicated, in ways that challenged 1950s audiences. The Searchers has had enormous influence on cinema, inspiring directors from Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg to George Lucas and Sergio Leone. Its complex themes of racism, revenge, and the myth of the American West still feel raw and revolutionary today. For many, it stands as the high point of Wayne's long career, a performance that proved the Duke could portray darkness just as powerfully as heroism. Number 1. Stagecoach, 1939. And the number 1 greatest John Wayne movie of all time is Stagecoach. This 1939 masterpiece didn't just launch John Wayne's career, it created the legend we still celebrate today. After nearly 10 years stuck in low-budget B-westerns and forgettable supporting roles, Wayne was on the verge of fading into obscurity. Then John Ford took a chance on him, casting the tall, athletic, 32-year-old as the Ringo Kid. From the unforgettable moment Wayne leaps onto the moving stagecoach, rifle in hand, the screen lights up. You can't take your eyes off him. His charisma, authority, and natural presence explode off the screen. Stagecoach wasn't just a hit, it completely revived the Western genre, transforming it from cheap Saturday matinee fodder into serious, adult, A-list entertainment. The movie earned 2 Academy Awards and massive critical acclaim. More importantly, it forged one of the greatest director-star partnerships in Hollywood history between Ford and Wayne. It established the strong, silent, morally upright hero archetype that Wayne would embody for the next 3 decades. Without Stagecoach, there simply is no John Wayne legend, no Duke, no enduring symbol of American courage and frontier justice. It remains the single most important film in his extraordinary career. John Wayne was more than just an actor. He became a symbol of American strength, courage, and frontier spirit. These 10 films represent the peak of a remarkable career that defined a genre and entertained millions for generations. Whether you love him or debate his politics and image, his impact on cinema is undeniable.
The channel for westerns and more.
Thanks for watching. Which John Wayne movie is your favourite? Let me know in the comments. Hit like if you enjoyed this. Subscribe for more classic film content. And I'll see you in the next one, Pilgrim. Wrangler out.